Welcome to the Confessions of a Group X Instructor podcast. For group exercise junkies and enthusiastic classgoers, we'll explore and uncover authentic, thought-provoking, and heartwarming industry education and inspiration from entertaining, badass fitness pros. And now your host, creator of Warrior Rhythm, Warrior Strength, Warrior Combat, Warrior Revolution, and Warrior Kids Group fitness brands, Ellen DeWord. Here we grow.
Welcome, everybody, to Confessions of a Group X Instructor podcast. I have Jamie Nichols in the house. Hi, Jamie.
Hello.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm just really excited to, I always enjoy chatting with you, and I'm excited to share some interesting stories today.
I know. I'm so excited to hang out with you, too. We have our coffees and we're ready to go. So I feel like probably most people listening to this know who you are, but why don't you introduce yourself to this audience?
All right. So my name is Jamie Nichols, and I am the CEO of Fitness Conventions Incorporated. We run an annual convention called the DCAC FitCon in the Northern Virginia area, right outside of Washington, D.C. It's been around for over 30 years. And we provide continuing education credits and showcase new formats and new things in the fitness industry to people looking to further their education and get their requirements for the continuing education.
Yeah, and that's the capacity in which I met Jamie, and I would say that we've become friends since then. So I'm so thankful that I have you as a friend and as someone, fellow professional in the industry. So, but I don't know some little tidbits of your story. So tell us how you got started in fitness. I know you've, taught step aerobics, and I think you still sometimes teach step aerobics. So what's your story with group exercise?
So how much time do you have?
Yeah.
It's quite a long one. So I guess my fitness industry time or career or start was back when I was 15. I had a ballet background. I took dance from when I was 3 all the way up to 18 and did like the recitals and the costumes and all the things. But I wasn't one of those naturally turned out dancers, but I wanted to be. I wanted to be so, so bad. And so when I first found aerobics and fitness, it was like, wow, I can do this. And I don't have to be the most naturally turned out perfectionist ballerina in the world. I can still move and teach people and help others. And so I was 15. My mom is actually part of the reason I got started. She was a preschool teacher, and she went to massage therapy school when I was in like 9th grade.
Yeah.
And one of her friends in massage therapy school got this job at a local fitness facility called Club Fit, and decided that it wasn't for her because it was too far away. And so offered the job to my mom. And the owner of the gym, Allison Boyd, which was one of the previous owners of DCAC,
Oh, okay.
hired my mom.
Okay.
And my mom felt kind of conflicted about it because she wasn't into fitness at all. And she was like, well, I don't know, we'll see how this goes. So she was able to go in there, run the massage therapy department, and just really build her career from there, thanks to the kindness of Allison and just really offering her a space to be when she branched off into her second career. So then when my sister was of age to work, she worked in the childcare at the fitness place. And then I became 15. And the first thing I did was, part of my anatomy class was that I had to have like an internship somewhere. And I wanted to have it at the gym because I had already started working out. And my mom had already started trading with all the personal trainers on staff, because she was like, you're 15, you're not working out unless you are going to get proper instruction and injure yourself.
Right.
She was like giving them massages, and they were doing personal training for me so that I could learn the corrent way.
So everybody was trading and sharing.
Everybody was involved in what was going on in our lives. Yes. So then it became time for me to get a job, and I said that I wanted to work there, but I didn't want to work in the childcare, which, don't get me wrong, I have 3 kids. I love them. I love kids, but childcare, as we know, post, COVID, trying to homeschool, is not where I excel at all. I wanted to know everything about the business. So I started working at the front desk. I started just like learning everything I could, all the ins and outs of how the gym ran, what the managers did, all ins and outs. I started teaching group exercise when I was 19 and
Okay.
just really fell in love with it because that was a way that I could be involved in the health and wellness industry and still exercise and teach people, but I didn't have to do it as perfectionist, like as a ballerina.
Ah,
So that's kind of where that started. And then I worked there for several years, was the member services manager, then helped run the gym with a couple other folks. And the lady that owned it, Allison Boyd, her sister, Shannon Elkins, was a full-time employee there as well. And in 2001, they bought the DCAC Fitness Convention. So it had been
okay.
going on for 10 years at that point, and they had been presenters at the very first one. They used to travel
Okay.
around to IDEA and everywhere doing step aerobics and high-low and
Okay. So were they
all
the
the things.
second owners? They were the second
They
owner.
were the second owners. So the
Okay.
first owners of DCAC were Mary Lee Herman, Suzanne Olson, and Charles Little. And
And-
they ran it for 10 years. And then Suzanne worked with Shannon and Allison
okay.
um,
And is it
as a
35 years?
consultant for a while.
Is it like 35 years old now?
Not quite. It's
30.
1991. So
Oh, okay. It was 30 the year. Okay, I got involved with it. Okay, okay.
gotcha.
Go ahead.
So I told you this long story.
I know.
So fast forward to
Mm.
2001 when they bought it. They took everybody. They basically like shut off all of their group exercise for the week, and then all the instructors went up and worked as staff assistants to like help run the event. And I just was also in love with that and like loved all the organization of everything. In 2005, my friend Gloria Holt and I presented a class. This is so embarrassing. Called Country Hip Hop, which was what we did at our gym. And it was just like a mixing country and hip hop music and doing like a pre-choreographed dance that we made up to. It was more just like a fun class to do. But that was the year that they had some medical problems. And on site, Shannon and Allison had to like go away and they were like, just be large and in charge. And I was like,
Oh my
oh,
gosh.
that's
Okay.
like everything's fine. You know, of course, that it was just like a really bad illness where they had to go to the hospital.
Okay.
But I got a taste of like being behind the scenes. And
Uh-huh.
the class went okay, but it was like we got like the Sunday 2 p.m. time
Oh
slot.
yeah. Everyone's packing their bags on.
Everyone was packing their bags and we had a really good time, but I really just thought this is what I want to do.
No
And ever
way.
since I was in high school, I knew I wanted to be involved in the fitness industry in some capacity. But it was that point that I realized that maybe being on the stage and being the presenter for all of the fitness professionals wasn't where was supposed to be. And that maybe this was a lesson in you can be behind the scenes and still contribute.
Oh my gosh.
Um,
This is
so
so
from there, their business started to grow. They expanded to do an event in Houston and they needed a member services manager, or no, a registration manager. And so I started managing the registration for them. And then their dad, who had done their books, Mr. Anderson, Mr. A, as we lovingly call him,
Yeah.
he taught me everything I need to know about like how you don't have to pay QuickBooks to write your own paychecks because you can do multiplication and figure out what you need to take out as
Huh.
far as Medicare and Social Security and all that stuff. So everything I needed to know about how to run a business. And so I took over the books for them. And then in 2011,
Huh.
Allison wanted to move on and do other things. She actually started a really cool foundation called Wings of Hope Ranch that
Okay.
works with horses and children with special needs. So
Mm.
that's a whole another side story. You should totally have her on our show because she is a really big
Oh,
um, part in the fitness industry and a really cool segue to what she's doing now.
okay.
But she was like, "Do you want to buy it?" And I was like, "Yeah, me with my about to get married, no house, no, no nothing. Sure, let's do it." So we figured out a way, and
Wait,
so
wait,
she,
wait. She wanted to sell it because of the organization that she was
yeah,
okay,
her kids were growing up. She just kind of felt like it was her time
time.
to
Yeah.
move from that and move on to something else. That the Lord was calling her to do, I think, really,
Yeah.
ultimately, which we'll get into a little bit later for part of my story.
Hmm.
But basically from that point forward, I ran it with Shannon Elkins, her sister, because they were co-owners. So
Oh,
Shannon and I ran the event for until 2019. And
okay.
then Shannon's son's going away after school. And
Okay.
she's like, I think I'm like might be ready to be done. Like, why don't you just buy it from me. And so I was like, okay, sure. That was 2019 in September.
Okay. Oh my
And
gosh, Jamie,
yeah, it
all these
was
pieces. I didn't know the full picture. So
it's a
that's
big one.
right before the
Yeah.
pandemic. Okay.
So right before the pandemic, and I had all these plans, and that was where the conversation stemmed from. I had talked to a bunch of different people in the industry that I had made relationships with over the years that wanted to expand and go to different areas. And Shannon's like, I think it's a really great idea, but I don't want to do it. You should do it. And so we did. We made all these plans. We had plans to branch out and go to Seattle,
Right.
then COVID.
Right.
So
Right.
that was kind of like the first huge, big lesson in the business part of my world that was like, took me a while to figure out how to move forward from that. But then since then, trying to wrap it up so you can ask more questions. We've expanded all over the place. Then we went back down to 2 events. And
Yeah.
then now this year we're just doing the 1 event. And I've been running it, of course, I'm still keep in touch with Shannon, talk to her all the time.
Yeah.
Her and Allison are both huge mentors in my life and
Oh,
just really wonderful people who have really helped me become the person that I am today.
oh, that's so sweet. I didn't know you had such an appetite early in your life for like the operations of how things work. Like
Oh yeah,
that's
super nerd, all
yeah,
the
that's
spreadsheets.
really interesting because I kind of feel like I'm the opposite of you.
Yeah.
In fact, like I desperately wanted to work in childcare at the gym because
Oh,
I had like little babies. Oh no, I had one at the time, one little baby. And I was poor and I like wanted a free membership. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can get paid to like be a mom. Like I can bring my son with me to work. I can
yeah,
read him stories and the other kids, read books and play Legos on the floor, being a mom and like get a free membership. So I definitely started in childcare at gyms. And then opposite of you, I was never interested or even aware of like gym operations and how the whole engine works. I just
oh
kind of
yeah,
did my group fitness little tunnel vision. And honestly, it wasn't until I started working at the DAC that I was like, I really need to know how every facet of this facility works. Everything from like laundry to membership sales to
right,
like, I need to know everything about every single department to be good at group fitness,
right.
to be like good in my role. And so then so very much later in life, I became interested in operations. But it's funny, even like hearing how your brain works around like the conference and how you got a little, it like whet your appetite to know more and
Right.
more and be like take over when they got sick and went to the hospital, how you like love that. Like, it's funny because I go to conferences all the time and I don't really think about the operations of them. I just think about
Right.
little. So anyway, it's interesting that you have like you're wired that interests and you're attracted to that kind of like
Right.
the big picture stuff.
I always think of it like I'm
And all
like
the plates in the air.
love the nerdy paperwork forms and spreadsheets and I love it. And I've embraced it for a while.
Yeah, that's so
Like love
funny.
all the numbers.
You want to do my books? My mom does my books and we use QuickBooks. She's
Yeah.
a keeper.
Nice.
Okay, so that's your backstory. So tell so let me tell you I want to talk about my experience with DCAC. So okay, you kind of took over 2019. That's crazy timing.
Right.
And I started my business in 2020, also crazy timing. And then um Barb Brodowski, who's been on the show, who actually, if the listeners have not heard that episode, it was awesome.
She's
And
great.
she
Yes.
is great. She's just like, she's been a major shaper in my life too. But to that point, she texted me one day asking me if I was interested in doing conventions. And I'm guessing you had talked to her or something or asked her.
Mhm.
I think that's how that went. And so I was like, yes. I definitely do, but we were in the pandemic. We were like in the
Right.
pandemic, like kind of starting to maybe peek out of it. And so she connected us. And so I just wanted to give this little story that I at the time still had a brand new business, the Warrior Instructor Academy. And I believe, yes, I had 2 formats at the time, rhythm and strength. And I wasn't really like a known entity in our fitness space. Like people really didn't know who I was, or they didn't really know about my programs either. I guess I had some exposure sort of indirectly through people that recognized me from or knew of me from my work with Beachbody. But for the most part, like I was a nobody starting from scratch. And DCAC changed that for me. It really did. So I felt going there to Virginia to present for the first time in 2021. And we might have even still all been in masks. I remember it was like touching.
It
The
was,
hotel was like, remember we had like it was like touching
yeah,
time.
they sent out like an orange alert, like for the
Yeah, I
county
feel
of
like
Fairfax, like the day before the
yes,
event.
you're right. I feel like I was flying there and we got like notifications from the hotel and we were like, it was just a tenuous time. It was a tenuous time.
I'm pretty sure I was crying in the corner.
I'm pretty sure you were like crawling under the table. I think at one point you might have been under the registration table.
I can
Okay, but anyway,
100%.
I felt I had like no joke because I'm a pretty confident person, but I feared that nobody would come because that no one would show up, that I would like be on a stage in a room alone because no one knew me and no one knew about my programs. And so I had that fear going there. And then much to my total surprise, do you remember they were like out in the hallways trying to take my
Yes,
workout?
they
And
were.
it wasn't just your group and the DCAC community that you've built and that your predecessors built, but it was also, much to my surprise, Warrior Girls. There were these instructors that had started teaching my formats that like got on airplanes and all came. And so there was like, I feel like we had 17 people that flew or traveled to be there, which I was not expecting, plus your group. So we had this huge, and I'm telling you, I felt this overwhelming sense of like, I found my confidence in what I was doing there. And then from that point on, it kind of like, for me and my business, starting at DCAC, I felt like opportunities just started to unfold and platforms and stages and stuff like that. So to me, I like really attribute your conference as being like kind of where I started. So anyway, thank you for that.
It's really
Thank you
awesome.
for taking a chance on me.
Yeah, well, of course. And we always like to have new programs and new things and see
Yeah.
what fits, but we also like to think of our event, it's definitely, pre-COVID, we used to have a lot more people. We used to have upwards of like 12 to 1500.
Yeah.
Now we're back around the 5 to 600 mark. But even when it was bigger, I feel like it was always an event that felt small. And it probably has to do with the fact that I'm uber controlling and want to be part of every single detail and never pass off anything to anyone else, which we'll get to why that's not always the best decision.
It does
It
does
is.
feel personal and intimate and small, and it feels kind of like I want to say like and I mean this in a very good way. I mean this as a compliment. It feels kind of like mom and pop, like
Yeah,
like family business, like your kids are there, and
right.
it's very special the way it feels and the way the presenters interact with each other and the conference goers, and it just feels like a really beautiful family. Also, I wanted to say it is like I love the time of year and the location is so beautiful. Like that area at the Hyatt where you can go to like Sweet Greens and you get smoothie bowls and there's the courtyard and that's the ice skating rink in the winter. That whole like area, I love it so much.
Yes.
I love it. I love the time of year. Like that is such a great conference to go to. Okay. Anyway, I think I was cutting you off. Were you going to start to talk about, I was going to ask you, uh, how was it like I mean, it had to be so hard for you with COVID.
Well, so, like everybody, I've had some trying times in my life. And, one of the things I've always done is like turn to my faith and turn to God and try to figure out what the ultimate plan is and how I can, you know, be a good person and help others, and how when I show my faith, it helps others. So, one of the things that I did during that was pray a lot and figure out what is supposed to happen. And I almost just was like, okay, we'll just close it. We'll be done for COVID, because I don't know how to run a virtual event, and I don't know
Right.
how to do this with my one person company that I just bought out my partner, which she was of course more than willing to help, but it just
Yeah.
felt overwhelmingly difficult. And I had a lot of people that believed in me and were like, no, we'll help you. We'll do this together.
Mhm.
And I think that that was like so important for me to gain, like you said, you gained your confidence at DCAC. I gained my confidence throughout that. And then I just poured everything I had into figuring out how we could do a virtual event that didn't have to be super duper crazy fancy, but that could be literally, let's have Zoom meetings to walk the attendees through how to use Zoom, because no one really knew at the time.
Right.
And so we made it this really simple how to event, how to do Zoom. Wasn't anything crazy, didn't have a huge trade show portion of it, just getting on there and getting your credits, and really like having the community part of it too, like having the just seeing all the other people on there when we're all at home. So that was really huge. But I prayed a lot, and like God got us through it. And I've worked with a lot of people who all said yes. I mean, we basically were during COVID at a time where it was like live events are not happening. So what are we going to do? And we just turned to do virtual. And most people in the fitness industry had a really hard time overcoming this battle and trying to figure out how to do it. And so I had a lot of people supporting me, and I feel like that helped me get through it. And there's also, back to my faith, I have always had a really strong faith.
Mhm.
And I feel like we've always been allowed to share that at my event, because it's a smaller,
Yeah.
privately owned company. Like I can do what I want with that.
Yeah.
And I think that, if most of you know me, know that my husband and I lost a child about 6 years ago, and that was a really difficult time. And I was opening up the DCAC registration while we were sitting in the hospital with her, and
Mhm.
planning the event from her hospital room. And
Mhm.
that was a really, really trying time, but God got us through it. And
Mhm.
when we went to the event that year, we raised over $10,000 for the Down Syndrome Association, and all the sponsors chipped in. We had this huge, magical Schwinn indoor cycling ride outside that was like so beautiful and wonderful, and raised a lot of money and a lot of awareness about the Down Syndrome Association. And so I've always feel like whenever I've had hard times, that I've just turned to my faith and just tried to take a step back and feel like, what are the next steps for me? Instead of trying to be in control,
Yeah.
just listen to what God has to say. So, you know, I've always been willing and able to share my faith through my business, and I'm thankful for that.
Yeah.
And then I also, through COVID, that was really some really hard times. And the next few years proved to be really challenging. I really, 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 really cannot tell you how bad I hope that 2024 is the year. Like, I feel like it's the year. I feel like things are just finally starting to come back, but it's been a rough couple years. For everybody in the fitness industry, but especially for people in live in-person events.
Have you always did you grow up in the church, or like at what point did
I
you
did.
your relationship with God sort of, you know,
So
take
I grew up in the church. I grew up just learning about like the stories of Jesus. And to me, I guess, unlike the way that I questioned and wanted to know everything about running a business,
yeah.
I never questioned God. It was
Huh.
just there and a part of my life. And I'm glad it was, because then when I have gone through tough times, I've realized that that's so important to have that foundation of faith. And
Mhm.
and to me, really just leaning on God in times of trouble, like it's what gets you through.
Well, I really admire so much that about you, and I share your faith, and I also believe in God. And it's funny, like I I mean, I guess every once in a while I have some profound like inklings of doubt or something like that, but really I can't help but see the existence of God in my life and in nature. And I feel like he's just put that faith in my heart. Like
Right.
it's just there. And admire the way you are vocal and share and are open about your faith, because I feel like sometimes I mean, this is my podcast, I can do what I want, but I sometimes feel like in our industry, it's important. I guess I sometimes feel like hiding that part of who I am, like,
Right.
just, politics and religion and, um,
Or not necessarily hiding it, but not like putting it on display
that's it.
so that
That's right.
everyone feels included.
Exactly. So, I tend to like talk cautiously or, reserve conversations about my faith to when I'm talking to someone else that has
Right.
faith. But I admire that way you are. Like you have a
Thank
kind of a
you.
boldness about it that is really special, and it's cool. It's like you have a ministry. So what are, I think, some of your takeaways that you have about, getting through, or just some of what were your takeaways? You had some takeaways, I
I
remember.
have some takeaways, and it's
I can't remember if they were related to struggle or,
maybe we should just talk about the monkey brain for a minute.
oh yeah,
People could probably relate. Like
yes,
a
let's.
lot of people in the fitness industry have monkey brain, where you're like, you're here and you're here, or squirrel. Or if you've
Yeah.
ever watched the Gilmore Girls, monkey, monkey underpants. Like you can't focus on one thing. So that is kind of how, of course, my podcast with you goes. But yes, I have some takeaways. So if you're interested to hear from me, here's what I
Like, I don't know if they're related to anything else we've talked about, but we'll see.
we're gonna hear them. Yeah. So one of the things, I guess it's related to my career in the fitness industry. And one of the things is, always working hard and keeping learning, which is why I'm so passionate about education events. And why I think I relate to you, because you're always learning and growing. And I think a lot of us in the fitness industry are like that.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's really important to always gain knowledge so that you can be better, make you better at what you're doing. Um, I think another takeaway I have that's helps me succeed in the fitness industry is my faith and family and friends.
Yeah.
I have that faith, and I know that times have been challenging for everyone, whether it's personal challenge or a business challenge. But because I have that faith, I'm able to get through whatever's presented at me. And, it might take some time, and it might take some crying in the corner, and it might take
Yeah.
a lot of different things, but
It might take crawling under the table, the registration table, into the fetal
yes. Oh
position.
yeah. Oh man. I specifically remember it's like right where there's like the living room area is one of the rooms at that Hyatt Regency Reston next to the Capitol Burger, or
Yeah.
I think they call it the Tavern.
Yeah.
And there's like a little corner. And like my sister called and said, we're not gonna bring the kids during COVID year because or 2021, I guess. We had a like hybrid event. She said, this is monkey brain again, getting off track. She said, we're not gonna bring the kids. They upped the risk. It's like the orange level now. And I just like lost it. And I was like sobbing in the corner, facing the wall like this, in the middle of it was so crazy. But yeah, sometimes you cry in the corner, but
Yeah.
then you like reach down deep and figure out what you're supposed to be doing and why you're there, and why it's all important. And the other thing I think that relates to what we've talked about in the very weird squirrel-like pattern
Mhm.
is having the confidence and believing in yourself. And
Mm.
it took me a while to get to that point that I might do things a little bit differently than I've done in the past, or that we might try something new with events, or that I actually have the confidence to put myself out there on a podcast when I have monkey brain, you
Yeah.
know? But surrounding yourself with people such as you and others in the industry who just always lift other people up. Like that's what I love about DCAC, and like what, like you said, the predecessors have created this culture where we've created this event where we get to work with people who all lift each other up. Like I can't remember the last time I went to an event and there was a negative experience there because of someone who was working or sponsoring or exhibiting or anything like that, because we like to choose to work with people who share what we believe about lifting other people up and really sharing that believing in yourself and giving people other confidence. that makes any sense.
It does. I actually was going to tag on to that and just say that like confidence changes our like our confidence is like directly proportional to how professional we are and how what we deliver. And I think while you were talking about confidence, I was thinking about like how, you know, how new instructors that are brand new, and maybe some are listening to this podcast, how they're always really nervous. Like like that's, everyone is nervous when they start teaching to be like, there's no way around that. We all just kind of go through that. And then there comes a point where we're no longer nervous. And that's where we really start to get good. And I think like continuing to put ourselves in challenging situations and new opportunities in fitness or in life, that confidence does grow like a muscle, like the more we flex it. And I remember starting at DCAC in 2021, not having the confidence that I do today. And I present better today than I did then, just because I'm confident. But I wouldn't have gotten confident if I didn't put myself through that like belly churning phase of jumping in. And it's been like that for me in fitness continuously, like continuing to take on challenges and continuing to say yes to things that actually scare me to death, and then finding my confidence and then getting really good at those things. And it's really empowering. So yeah. Okay.
And I think it makes you super relatable. You know, when people put themselves in vulnerable positions to talk about hard things or to do hard things. I remember Denise Drews, one of the ladies that I know through the fitness industry, she was the Schwinn master trainer, but she had a speech last year at the Idea World Convention, and she said, I can do hard things. She's gone through a lot in her life, but that's pretty much like a tagline. Can that be your tagline? I can do hard things. Like we can all do hard things. And specifically so if you surround yourself with people who'll help you through them and lift you up.
That's right.
I love that. All right, what's up next?
Oh, okay. I was like, I didn't know if there was another one. So one more thing I want to talk to you about before I take a confession out of you is the theme of DCAC this year. Oh, okay. My cat said hello.
Oh, how cute. I locked mine out of the room. So the theme of this DCAC this year is becoming the ultimate crossover fit pro. So we want to help fitness professionals move forward in fitness at the DCAC FitCon. We want to help them discover new opportunities in the industry with workshops and boot camp, functional training, barre, HIIT, cycling, personal training, active aging, aquatics, yoga. We want to help them elevate their career, but become multifaceted as a fit pro. And we have a couple of things going on. One of the things this year is we're going to have a lot of combo classes. So we're going to pair up different presenters from the Group X world and the PT world to try to show you how you can take your existing knowledge base, supplement it a little bit, but then reach more professionals or more clientele. Because ultimately in the industry, we're all trying to look for ways to make ends meet or make more money or reach more people. Then the second thing is we'll have a panel called Becoming a Multifaceted Fit Pro. So we'll talk with some experts in the industry and explore opportunities that can elevate your career, talk about who's successful, who's making money, how you can expand your fitness portfolio, how you can become flexible, and then scan the spectrum from small group, one-on-one, large group, all of the different areas that you can work in. And then we'll also have one session on Friday of the event that I'm really looking forward to, where it's called a core concept, and it's still being developed right now, but it'll be one session for all the attendees to go to, talking about a core concept in the industry that spans from cycling to yoga to Pilates to HIIT to everything aqua, and then how after that one core concept it'll break out into sessions and how you can take that one concept and then apply it to each format.
That's fun. That's
I'm really super duper uber excited about it. And I feel like we're just ultimately helping. We have a lot of returning people that come to DCAC every year, so a lot of people that have been in the industry for a while, and we're just really trying to elevate those people and the people that have been in the industry for a long time, but also the newer people, and try to show them that there's different avenues that you can take. You don't just have to do one thing. And
Yeah.
many of us that have been in the industry a long time already know this, but
Yeah.
it is nice to go to a conference to get renewed and refreshed and inspired and ready to go back to your Monday clientele with just excitement and inspiration to just really do what we're all passionate about doing.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing too, is everyone, I think if we don't expose ourselves to events like this, I do think the path is to end up stagnating.
Right.
Whether that's like intellectually or whether that's like with burnout or, you know, people, we need to like stoke our fire in this industry. Otherwise, we really will just burn out. And I meet instructors all the time that like maybe it's just like learning a new format, being introduced to my format. All of a sudden they're like, I love teaching again. I thought I didn't.
Mhm.
I
Absolutely.
just thought I didn't. Or maybe it's not a new format. Maybe it's just new skills or new education, but it's so awesome. And I know we talked about virtual events, and I lead virtual events. I lead great virtual events, but there is like nothing like the like dopamine and serotonin you get from being like
Right.
in person with people, and like the energy. Like I say, I'm like very proud of the virtual certifications that I lead. Like I got my tech down. I do breakout
Yes.
rooms. I'm really engaging. I know everybody's name and we connect and we become friends by the end of the day. Like I got it dialed in, but there is like you can't replicate the energy,
Right.
the palpable energy that happens in a room full of people. And it's really fun. Like I love different types of people so much. I love different people that think different, move different, act different. But it's really cool at a conference, for example, just that we have one thing in common. This room that's full of whatever, 50 people in this session, we have like one thing in common.
Yeah.
Like we have this industry and that we want to change people's lives. And it's like super bonding, you know? Anyway, that's a segue, but I love the theme of crossover and group X to PT, and I'm super excited to be part of it. Our girls are already, I say our girls because I say our girls because we call them the warrior girls because there's a couple guys, but we're really, really, really looking forward to it. So, okay, it's time, Jamie, it's time. What's your confession for us? Did you have one?
So talk about being really vulnerable. This is super duper vulnerable and not a lot of people know about it. I mean, a couple, but I did, background, monkey brain, crazy. I, I run the event by myself and my husband comes on site to help me. And so a lot of what we've done over the past several years, branching out to try to go do big things in other cities and partnering with people and doing a lot of other things, has proved to been super duper uber difficult.
Mhm.
And what I've learned is just because you can do something really, really well doesn't mean that you have to.
Mm.
And so in 2022, we had 3 events, Seattle, Nashville, and then our regular DC event. And then 2023, we had the DC event in Nashville. And after Nashville this year, I was done.
Mm.
And I was ready to like throw in the towel. And I luckily have worked with the Hyatt Regency Reston for a really long time. And I hadn't even yet signed the contract, but I released the space. I was going to sell my business. And I just felt like there were so many things being thrown at me. There were like insurmountable challenges, things that I just couldn't, the cost of everything involved, the organization of trying to do that while raising 2 young kids, this
Yeah.
pressure that it put on my husband to drive 10 and a half hours to Tennessee in a U-Haul van with all of our equipment and set up a
And a
conference
dog.
with just just us. Like there's one volunteer there. How's that?
Yeah.
And so it was really overwhelming and difficult. And I just felt I almost threw in the towel. And that's my confession, is that if you've been wondering why I don't have a schedule posted or
Yeah.
why registration took forever long to open this year, it's because I was done. And then God happened. And there were people that had booked the space at the hotel that we always go to. And I had reached back out to them and they're like, someone's booked it. And I was like, oh, okay. So I guess it's not meant to be. Oh, but wait, they might give it up and change dates.
No way.
And so we're waiting and waiting and waiting. And I researched other places. I looked at JCCs and YMCAs and rec centers and all the places. And all of it just seemed so, it's hard to show someone the value of an education event until they've been to one. So trying to network with these people and show them the value that it could bring to their instructors if they've never been to one was really difficult. Because it does cost money to do things like that.
Yeah.
And then I got a call from the Hyatt Regency Reston that the space had opened up and they are willing to let me back in with what was an incredible deal. And I just know that that was like God working through my life saying, take a step back. Maybe you don't need to go all over the world and do all of these things. Maybe you just need to do the one thing that works.
Yeah.
The one thing you know that works, and do it well and keep providing to this community. And this, a lot of other things happened. I had a lot of people reach out. Before I even had an event, I had all the sponsors and presenters lined up, ready to go. People that I had been trying to get on my schedule forever say, I'll be there this year. And I was like, well, beware. Like, where are we going to go?
Where?
So that's my confession, is I almost gave up, but then I took a step back and I was walking with a friend, a crazy wild dog in the neighborhood, panting because she's like pulling me all over the place. And she's like, what if you just did something a little bit smaller? And so then I started looking into it, and then it just came to be. And I think it's going to be really great.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited about just focusing on the one event, really making that one uber successful again, and really just taking what we have there and sharing it.
Yeah. I love what you
So I
said.
didn't throw in the towel,
You
but
did.
I almost
You
did.
almost did. I love just the power of, like, you can go big, you have the skills, but maybe just being okay with scaling back. I think there's huge like wisdom in that. And thank you for so
There's
much
other
for, like,
important
sharing
things
that.
like family that were a big role in that. Like, I can't go all over the world and do all over the things and still be a good mom.
Yeah, right. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
being on the podcast. I'm going to put all the links to, enroll for DCAC in the show notes. So we would love to see all of you guys there.
Yes.
In Reston at the first week in August. And Jamie, I just love you so much.
Oh, ditto.
Yeah.
We should probably tell that I mentioned briefly about my daughter, but Ellen painted me the most beautiful portrait of her based on a picture that I had given her. And I just, that made us friends forever, because that's just so special that you did that.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
I enjoyed talking to you, and I just appreciate you letting me come on and share my story. And
we also text each other songs about Jesus. Randomly.
Surprised I didn't burst out into song. I totally should have planned that.
Yeah, Jamie sings, people. Jamie sings.
Oh, that would have been fun.
Yeah.
I have a new one.
We should have had you sing on my podcast.
Let me tell you what it's called really quick before you go. Okay. It's on the playlist for Easter at church. It's called Send Me by Bethel Music. And it is.
Wait a minute. I feel like you might, hold on a second. Did you already send that to me? You might have. Is it the one that goes?
Oh, yeah, it is. Oh, geez.
It like deserves to be, I want to do a flow to it.
Okay.
I want to do.
You should.
Okay, well, anyway, everybody, we're just
anyway again.
All right, everybody, check the show notes. And Jamie, love you so much.
All right, love you. Thank you.
For August. Okay. Okay, bye.
Thank you for joining in on the Confessions of a Group X Instructor podcast. If you're interested in becoming a warrior instructor, go to warriorinstructors.com. But if you want more and found this episode amazing, please give us a rating. And with a simple click to subscribe, we'll invite you back to our next episode. So remember, be brave, be bold, be blessed. And above all, listen, learn, love.